Am I going to commit to this bit? It's April 1st now, but a few weeks ago I played in the Mid-America Open. And again, I had no openings at all. So before then, I met up with, I have a chess coach now, and we had our first chess lesson a couple days before the Mid-America tournament, and I just wanted to get like the most random openings I could, kind of like the randomly generated Chicago Open. But this time I let one of my students pick, and she picked the Budapest, the Scandinavian, the Veresov. I was gonna play the Veresov. Budapest, yes, whatever. But I decided that it would be better if I just maybe only stick with one, because I only had one day to prepare all these openings, and the opening that I was least comfortable with was against just whatever I have against d4, which was nothing. So we did some like very serious Budapest Gambit prep, which basically was just looking at Yak Attack's games on Lead Chess. He's the only like titled player who frequently plays it in Blitz. But like we did prep. The only other thing I asked about was like what happens. I was like, I hate this line. I usually go e6 here, and then they take, and then I don't understand the structure at all. And so he was like, all right, well, just go d6. And then, like, he put stuff in a study that I didn't look at because I was busy prepping the Budapest. But that's your backstory for the tournament. I prepped the move d6 and nothing else. It's not prep. I was just like, all right, this is easier than this, I guess. I'll just figure it out. But in round one, I was paired with Eric Kachenko. I don't think I say his name right, but the current world champion of Puzzle Dash, which is where you play Puzzle Racer or Puzzle Rush and Geometry Dash at the same time. He has the high scores in them currently, but I'll get there, maybe. But he's an NM. He's a year younger than me. I know this because there was like some conversation about ages, and he asked me how old I was, and I said I was 23, and he called me Unk because he's 22. And it's like, man, I just got called Unk by a 22-year-old child. Anyways, that's the backstory. So Eric opens up with e4, and I play c5, knight f3, knight c6, and of course he goes bishop b5, which I wasn't thrilled to see. I would have been very happy to go into just regular Kalashnikov. I'm actually getting semi-comfortable in that. But he went bishop b5, and I went d6. And the good news is, many years ago, like over 6 years ago, I used to play Krzysztof Selecki's Keep It Simple 1e4 course on Chessable, which is this. So I kind of had an idea of how the positions work, not necessarily from Black's perspective, but you can always just sort of flip it. If you understand the position, you don't necessarily have to only understand it from one side. That's not really how it works. So I go bishop d7 to just break the pin. Rook e1. Hello, Spinal Tap. Actually, let me get the chat on the screen, because that's the sort of comment that the YouTube people are really missing out on. Where's the chat box? I had to completely like redo everything on Streamlabs because I still don't fully understand why the audio wasn't working. I mean, I just like did everything and eventually it worked again. Okay. Unk. Alright, so he goes rook e1. The idea behind this move is to actually tuck the bishop back onto f1 in a lot of cases, and plus it's just a good move, putting the rook in the center. Sometimes you're going to play c3, d4, maybe even e5. And the idea is, you know, after some a6, we're not going to take necessarily. We're just going to tuck the bishop back, sometimes play g3. This is all I really know. I just went ahead with knight f6. Apparently, in the study that my coach very nicely put together, I'm supposed to go a6 here, I think, and then put the bishop on g4, which makes a lot of sense and would have gotten me a much, much better position than what I got. Like, looking at this makes a ton of sense. I mean, the bishop had to move twice anyways, so why can't I move my bishop twice to put it on a better square? So next time maybe I'll do this, but I didn't actually open the study. I was just like, okay, d6, that's prep. So I went knight f6 because I'm afraid of not castling, which, you know, it is what it is. c3, trying to play d4. I go a6, bishop f1. And again, I should really play bishop g4 here if I had been aware of that idea, or if I had been thinking, I should have been, I feel like I could have maybe come up with that, but I also was trying not to spend a ton of time in the opening for no reason, so I just go e6 because I want to castle, please. d4, c takes d4 is automatic, is from my understanding. And then, I don't know, like, I feel like my move was forced here. If I go bishop e7, I mean, I guess I could go bishop e7, but I'm scared of d5. I'm a real scared of d5. Why not g6, bishop g7 instead of e6? I don't know. Beats the hell out of me. Bishop g4 is better than both those moves, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. They're probably both good. It's just preference. Okay, d4 takes. So I'm afraid of d5. I mean, I guess I could maybe go here, but I don't want to have to think about it. So we use the self-service principle, and we play d5 ourselves, so that our opponent cannot play d5. If he locks the center up, I can actually play knight e4, because there is no knight on c3 yet. And so if the knight ever challenges me, then I can just trade everything off and develop. And, it's like not the best position I've ever had, but it's definitely not the worst. And I was just happy to have the center closed because I want to castle. And, I'm not concerned with equalizing out of the opening or getting a good position out of the opening. I just want to survive the opening is where I'm at right now. So I would have been very happy with this. But of course he takes. I cannot take because of the pin, so I have to take with the knight, which is okay. My opponent now has an isolated queen pawn. And if he keeps it like that, I might actually be like a little better. g6 leads to another variation. That's how chess works, yes. But he goes knight c3, immediately challenging the knight. And I was still a little bit scared of playing bishop e7 for whatever reason. I mean, this is just like equal looking, so I guess I should have done it. But I just took the knight on c3, which I guess just gives him a good position because now his pawn's not messed up. I thought it didn't make much of a difference because if I take my pawn's messed up as well. Hard to say. I go bishop e7. Bishop comes back to d3. He wants to checkmate me. I don't care. All I want to do is castle out of the opening. That's all I want to do. Rook b1, attacking the pawn. b5, defending the pawn, and eyeing some new squares. This is all still pretty normal. I don't think we were spending a ton of time. Although actually we were. I remember we were both weird time pressure people. But he went queen e2, getting ready to connect the rooks. Preparing a4, if we're being honest. He's already has these ideas, building like a mini battery against the a6 pawn. And here I remember I had like a semi-longer think. I'm still like worried about everything going on. Like if I go rook c8 and he goes a4, what is going on here? He takes here with a tempo. But then I go rook b8. I mean, I have a passed pawn. Like, I don't really know. I don't really understand what's going on here. But he also doesn't have to take right away. Just wasn't sure what was going on there and didn't think there was anything I could do to prevent it. I just wanted to kind of prepare for every situation. One thing that I would like to do would be to play bishop f6. I don't remember why, but I remember I really wanted to play bishop f6. Perhaps to prepare my own b4 idea. Something of this flavor. Maybe to prevent stuff like this. I'm not sure, but I thought if I go bishop f6, he goes bishop a3, and this sucks. And so I came up with rook e8. which was like, I thought multi-purpose, like if my bishop has to leave the diagonal, then this has no bite to it. It's also just kind of casually putting the rook where the queen just went, and so if things open in the center now, I'm already prepared for it. And my opponent went bishop f4, so now bishop f6 is the best move because bishop a3 is no longer possible. He could go bishop d6, but it's not coming with any sort of threat, so this doesn't really matter to me. So I was pretty happy here. I thought this was a nice like waiting move that was useful. And now my opponent goes knight to e5. And he has some ideas here. See if you can spot Mr. Tactics ideas. Like, what if I go along with one of my plans, which is to play knight e7 to d5? What is Mr. Tactics going to do to me? If anyone cares. Okay, yeah, so if I go knight e7, bishop takes h7. If I take, there's a bad thing happening here, and it kind of has to do with the fact that I moved the rook from f8 to e8. Queen h5, if the rook were still on f8, wouldn't matter, because I would just go back to g8 and just be comfy, cozy. Like, he doesn't have a light squared bishop. There's no way to follow up on this attack. But because f7 is loose now, queen takes f7 would happen, and, you know, minimum there's a draw. But probably he's just gonna do a little rook lift and checkmate me. And if I'm being honest, I think I, like, almost forgot to look at this stuff and almost played my knight e7, and then I was like, wait a minute. Maybe not. I remember thinking at some point, like, I need to play g6. I guess that was the idea behind bishop f6. This is, like, Kalashnikov-esque. So I go g6, because I kind of have to. And then my opponent goes a4, really applying the pressure onto the b5 square and to the a6 pawn. And I don't know what's going on here. There's forcing lines to calculate. So either taking on a4, taking on a6, and then taking on e5, or taking on e5 first. The thing is, kind of like in some Sicilian positions, if he has to recapture with a pawn, he's not going to be very happy. He'd rather take back with a piece in a lot of cases. So like right now, knight e5, bishop e5. Bishop e5, he can go queen e5, and then like my dark squares are a little bit sussy-wussy, I thought. And so I saw this idea that if I take first and sort of like bait the bishop a6, now the queen is slightly overworked. The queen has to stay on the line of the bishop. And so now after knight takes e5, like, I mean, whatever he does, like, he's gonna end up having to take with the pawn anyways, because this is no longer allowed. And this is what happened in the game. However, it is slightly more accurate to take the knight first, because after bishop takes e5, then you take on a4. And he hasn't taken here yet, but if he does, it transposes ever so slightly. I think maybe I'm up a tempo somehow. Yeah, the problem here's... Okay, I'll show you the problem with what I did. So he doesn't have to take here. Like, I assumed he would, and he did, but he doesn't have to. So he can use, like, an in-between move of bishop e4, for example. Kind of tickling the knight. So now the knight cannot take. But this is kind of counterintuitive, I thought, based on what he had been doing. He could also take here first, so this stuff doesn't happen, and then take on a6. Which I didn't really consider, and looking at it, it makes a lot of sense, but bishop takes a6, I think, is, you know, it's logical to assume that that's what my opponent's doing. But now I take on e5. He takes with the pawn. And then another, like, positional question is, like, okay, like, I could go bishop g7, tuck the boy away, and these could be targets. Or I could play bishop g5 and trade the dark squared bishops off, and these are still targets. I didn't consider bishop g5 during the game, honestly, but someone immediately after asked me, like, if I considered it, and I had to say no, I wish I had. I was just very happy to get a position where, like, I'm safe. I don't know, my dark squares aren't under attack, and I have targets, and I thought this looked a little funny. Yeah, bishop g5 is super Sicilian. What do you mean? These are always what my pieces look like. I mean, this makes perfect sense when I'm looking at it. I truly just didn't really consider it. Probably would have played it if I had thought for a second. I looked at my score sheet when I showed this game to coach, and yeah, that was an instant. This was an instant move for me. One of my only, like, instants. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that wasn't ideal. One of the massive oversights of this game was the following line. So my opponent goes rook d1, kind of showing, I don't know, like, your queen, this is quite an open space for his bishop pair, if you will. And this bishop is a little bit clumsy. There's not really a safe point for it. Even if I got it here, it would be kicked away immediately. Kind of a terrible piece. And then, again, for whatever reason, I very quickly went queen a5 without thinking. Kind of missing a pretty easy semi-forcing line. I was just like, ooh, activity. It's time to go. You know, if he takes my bishop, I take his bishop, and then I have a passed pawn and I win. And I agree with this. However, bishop b7, which I saw, and I was like, okay, but whatever, then he forces my rooks into the center. Yay. And then I'm gonna, like, trade the bishop off. Maybe. This is attacked. This could be attacked. And in my head, the bishop couldn't move because this pawn would hang. And then he played bishop g5. The really bad thing about this is, not only did I not see bishop g5 coming at all, I didn't see it up until he played it. Like, not for a single point. But the g5 square was unavailable to me, apparently, in this game. So my opponent goes bishop g5, and I'm like, oh. Do I resign? Like, oh. So now it's time to grovel. So how do we, this was my warm-up game. This is, round 1 of the tournament is where you're still, at least when you're as rusty as I am, you're not really, your brain's not really fully in it yet. Oh, the chat's a little extremely large there, huh? Bishop takes e5 and say it's our bishop pair now. So this is like my opponent is a national master. He actually got national master off me. I'm like the resident punching bag. He said, can we play like a 2-game match so I can get my like 2199 to 2200 before he went back to school? And I was like, okay. And then he beat me twice and became an NM. I guess he didn't feel like it was much of a risk, which is fine. It makes sense. However, I can still fight here in a few different ways. So one idea, maybe taking here, but like if I'm doing that, maybe queen c3 is a better move order. Because, like, I don't know, this feels a little Like, my queen's attacked after this. So, I have to take... Let's here. Like, I don't know what's happening. I feel like I can't. It just feels loose and overworked. But if I take on c3 first, and he takes my rook with his bishop, takes bishop c6. First of all, there's queen c6. And second, this is still a threat. If he goes f4, I mean, actually, yeah, f4, yeah. Maybe here or here. And I'm fighting. It's not like the worst position ever. Like, again, 2 bishops, pass pawn. Maybe could hold. Maybe not against an NM, but maybe could hold. Yeah, I just went f6, which it was a miracle that I even had this. Of course I didn't see this coming and didn't plan this. It was just like luck that f6 kind of works out. Yeah, so if he takes here, I have queen takes g5, which is a miracle. So he took with the bishop, and then after bishop takes. I wasn't like unhappy here at all after queen c3. In fact, I kind of liked my position. Like, if he doesn't push the pawn to f7, I play king f7, and the pawn is like a hat, you know? It just keeps me warm. It's not really hurting me. Just wearing it on my little head. Or even, or I could just take the pawn. This is the other thing. So he pushes to kind of keep the king open. And then he goes rook d3. Very logical. Bringing a rook into the attack with a threat on my queen. And of course I immediately blunder. Where would you put your queen? I made quite an emotional decision, as I tend to do. There's like 3 good moves, and I didn't play one of them. Ah, yes, bishop b5. Keep that in your what's the word? Your back pocket for later. What the hell? Wait. It's like, what's going on with me? Right? Or no? Maybe I'm delusional. Why do you keep saying April 11th, 2025? Osmo? My peak bullet was last year? Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm washed. Boy is home. I just went queen g7 because I wanted my queen next to the king because king is baby. There was no thought behind it besides that. I don't know. Better would be queen c7 to not only help defend the bishop, but have this rook be defended another time. Because after queen g7, he has apparently queen d1 for some reason, or queen d2. Why is this not good as well? Oh yeah, because of bishop b5. I said keep that in mind. So we go one of these moves first. So queen d2 attacking this. And if I go like king e7, he might zug me. Am I gonna be zugged? Or you could just do this also. It's just like a bad position, essentially. But my opponent goes this rook to d1, which allows bishop b5, which was one of my only ideas. And this also is a move that just happens to work. So of course rook takes d8, I take the queen, yay, we're all happy. You have to consider queen f3 pretty much immediately because it's the only thing that gets out of the pen with tempo. I think queen f3 almost doesn't work for me. But the king is actually weirdly safe on e7, where it can help defend d8. And he's not going to get me, you know? I want a dark square. The rook is defended. It's all good. This is attacked a lot of times. So he takes, rook e1, kind of switching. And it's actually equal now. I somehow survived this, but my opponent is going to torture me for another 3 hours. This was a brutal one. I think the round started at like 6:30, and I didn't get home till midnight. It was this was a rough one. I go queen f6 because I want to trade the queens, please, for the love of God. If the queens come off, I think I'm like close to being better. I mean, I'm up a pawn. The king being a baby and just being exposed is not ideal though. Queen e3, logical, and we're both in kind of sort of serious time pressure here. I think I could probably find the score sheets, which I should have done before this, but I don't know, we probably both had under 20 minutes at least, maybe less. I went rook d6, which already, like, I didn't see queen c5, I think. Maybe I did. I don't know why I would allow this. It would be almost worse if I did see this and played this anyway. Just walking into a pin with a tempo. I went queen f5, which is like the only saving move. Again, trying to get the queens off and defending my bishop. Opponent goes queen b4, and I go king d7, which blunders bishop e4. Because if I go here, I lose my queen. If I go here, like, I feel like he's gonna kick me off the 5th rank. We both missed this. We must have been in time pressure. He found like another fancy looking move. Bishop c8 looks very good because if I take, I lose the rook. But king c7, and I'm actually running to a much safer side of the board, I thought, at least. Opponent goes h3, defending against all the back rank tactics that could happen in the future. And I simply tuck the boy back, and I'm trying to make myself a new house. A multi-purpose house with like a little cannon on the top, like, what is it called? Age of War? Is that what that game's called? That's what this is. It's the cannon on the top of my castle. Anyway, bishop a6, queen d5, making a subtle threat and hoping my opponent does not see it. My opponent sees it. He goes bishop f1. I go queen d2, again, begging for the queens to come off. The only way, turret, yes. The only way to defend against this is queen b1, because he has to keep the rook defended. And then I play e3, and honestly, it feels like black is the only one who can win at this point. But, you just be careful. This is also move 39. By the way, the time control was game in 100 minutes, I think. This is, some weird time control. I think it was game in 100 minutes with a 30-second delay. We both almost flagged at one point. And then on move 40, you get another 30 minutes, and this is move 39. My opponent goes rook e2. And then, for some reason, this is going to be my 40th move. I didn't play queen d1. I'm not sure what ghost I saw that would discourage me from playing this move. But my time went down to 2 seconds, and I played this, like, very bizarre move. And then we get to move 40, and we have to keep playing this position. But, like, queen d1, I feel like I'm close to winning. I don't know what I was so afraid of. Like, queen a2, no, I don't have this. But I could go bishop b5, maybe. Just bizarre. So there you go. That's me. That's the sort of thing I do. I played queen c3. My opponent goes rook c2. And now I'm, like, under pressure again. Queen a5, retreating. Like, this is not what we want. White is now hanging on. I was, like, close to winning, by the way, if I just play queen d1, like, the obvious move. The move I wanted to play, the move I've been setting up the whole time, and then, I don't know. choked, I guess. Queen a1. Queen a4. Attacking the rook. Rook to c4. Queen to b3. Again, I'm trying to get back in there to somehow push my pawn. If I can get the rook here, obviously, that would be fantastic. But now come the checks. Queen g7. And I'm looking around for tactics, but I immediately missed my opponent's, like, key idea. So the issue is, if I go rook d7, he goes queen e5 with check, which I wasn't, like, a big fan of because I'm losing this pawn. Again, like, yeah, I have my extra 30 minutes, but I probably am still kind of a little shaky and weird. I go king b6, and this is where I thought I lost the game. It's still definitely holdable, but queen f8 was brutal because now the rook is pinned to the b4 square, and I just, like, put my king on the worst file. Well, oops. So here, if I go rook d6 again, I don't know, I'm, like, walking into a pin. I mean, maybe I can do it, but I guess this is happening. Oh, I guess, okay, I didn't see bishop d5. Yeah, okay, I mean, okay. Yeah, I guess I could have done this. But this is a hard move to play. That's not easy to play. But I thought I was just getting out of the checks with king b6. And then my opponent plays queen f8. Very nice shapes and colors move that my opponent played. Very nice. There's also, like, sometimes this stuff, but not really. But also, yes, that was another thing. I mean, not really, because it's my turn, but, you know, like, my pieces are fucked. Then I just have to go back and queen e7, and it's the same thing. But I honestly really thought he was just going to take my pawn, and I wasn't thrilled with this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this position. Apparently there's only one move that doesn't lose on the spot, and it's queen b5. Oh, yeah. Queen b6 doesn't work because of... fuck if I know. Like, this is the least intuitive move, right? Am I crazy? Someone explain. Okay, so this is fine. Why? What? Okay, this is losing. Every move is winning for white here. Rook c1. I guess maybe I'm, like, blocking my own airway. And then queen b7 is also bad. Someone who's better than me explain why. Okay, so but queen b5. Let's say I do this anyways. Oh, you want to play queen d5 and get the queen off of you. Just to trade the queens. Okay. It's too hard for me. I'm not good enough to see all that. Anyways, he didn't even do that. He just went queen c5, and I went queen b6. And he took my pawn, and now I'm just depressed. And I'm also exhausted, and it's like 11:30 p.m. And I got up early and didn't get much sleep. And I have to get up early again to play chess. I do only have one move that holds a draw here, but, like, I need to not be so defeatist. But also I was just, like, out of energy. I just really didn't feel like I had any fight left in me. And I just have to work on my stamina. Rook f7 is immediately a mistake. I have to go rook d1 if I want to try to hang on for a draw, which makes sense. This is like a one-move threat. Like, he just defends it, and then the rook is stupid here. You know? It's just a one-move threat. I go king d7 to get out of the pin. My opponent goes rook b2. I go queen c7. Kind of another backward move. And now the rook comes to c2 again. And, like, I just got the fucking king out of the pin, and now there's a queen here. It's infuriating. So the queen comes back to b6. begging for a draw. Queen c3, and then I played bishop d5, which is another mistake. I saw queen c8, but I thought my king was going to be safe because I can like shuffle between these two squares and he can't get me. But queen e8 is another like accurate tragedy. I go rook f5 to what I thought was like keeping everything protected. And he goes queen h8, kind of attacking this pawn, and one of the ideas is like, okay, this square, I don't know, like the king feels a little iffy. I come back to f7 to defend. I think it's fine. He goes rook b2, and then I think I blundered here. No, I didn't blunder yet. Queen c7, rook b8, queen a7 is my blunder. Not yet. Queen d8. King e5, rook b2. Yeah, okay, here's my blunder. So again, like I thought my king was fine because I'm just gonna basically ring around the rosy. And I didn't think I was getting mated, but this is a special position right now because the queen is covering both escape squares. This is a very special situation. Line queen g5, forking g2 and c1. What? I played queen c7. I couldn't figure out the difference between queen e7 and queen c7. One is a draw, one is losing. You look sad? That's weird. Queen e7 is a draw because I actually can go to f6. Yeah, exactly. Queen c7, like, what? Hey, idiot. Your whole thing about ring around the rosy is not, so true. And then I go... Oh, no, I didn't go here. I went here. And then he, like, mated me pretty easily. And I resigned. So, you know, this is the first game. The first game is always rough. It was very, very long. I was so tired after this. I hope I wasn't rude to him. Like, I wasn't mad at him or anything for, like, pushing, because I think I did offer a draw, like, when it was a draw, and he said no. I just was so tired, I just couldn't act like a person. I just, like, signed the score sheet, and I had to drive home. I was also really stressed out about the parking situation. I wasn't sure if they were going to let me out of the parking garage, and I think I had left my wallet at home, so I wouldn't have been able to, like, pay and get out even if I wanted to. But thankfully the gate was open. So there's that. The board, yeah, the board, that was for my hilarious April Fool's joke. Just hilarious. I'm not going to do that for the rest of the games. But, no, it's fine. Like, you have the right to play on in any position you want to. Like, whether you're, like, it's equal and you're pushing for a win, or, like, you don't have to resign if you're losing. Like, I could have resigned earlier. The gun show. Right? Am I right? Thank you, Spinal Tap. It's pretty good, right? Wait. Where's the oh, hold on. It's not the best lighting. Anyways.